Now, a Tesla truck considered by itself beats other diesel trucks. But what if you have a convoy? So what if you have two trucks following? So you're more like a train driver. In fact, the convoy technology, the tracking technology, this is something that we are confident we can do today 10 times safer than a human driver. So I want to be clear, this is something we can do now. And wait for that plane. There you go. Now, if you look at the economics of a truck convoy, it gets way better. Now, a diesel truck is twice as expensive as a Tesla Semi. What this means is, it's not just economic suicide to use one diesel truck, it's economic suicide for rail. This beats rail. So, and that's I think really quite profound. We're confident that this is a product that is better in every way from a feature standpoint, that wins on economics against diesel trucks in a worst case scenario, and that defeats rail in a convoy scenario. And production begins 2019. So if you order now, get the truck in 2 years.
Thanks for joining us once again. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. As you just heard from Elon, the plan is for Tesla to implement convoy processes where one could run perhaps 2 or 3 trucks all at the same time with one driver in what he called a convoy mode or a tethering mode. This concept is actually a huge deal because there's a lot of freight that's shipped, for example, from Phoenix to Houston, where there's a lot of area, about 1,000 miles of road, that is basically straight, fairly dry, and you could have trucks running along this space, reducing overall costs by spreading that cost over 3 vehicles. So we decided to kind of take a look at this issue today because the first question that popped up is, well, will Tesla share its convoy capabilities with Pepsi Sacramento, with their chips, as well as Pepsi the Pepsi Sacramento is facilities for drinks. Modesto is where they're producing chips and testing the Semi. So the question that was popping up is, well, what happened to the convoy because it is a significant cost reduction, etc. So in the case of Pepsi, the convoy's kind of not happening right now because obviously they're doing direct to stores, 1 truck at a time. It most likely, I guess, could run on double trailers if needed, but likely is just the need for 1 53-foot Semi to go out and do deliveries, and then more exotic types of deliveries will come later. In the case of chips, I guess it's a possibility that they could run convoys there, but convoys aren't approved in California while they are approved in Nevada. So for now, we're kind of in a situation where Tesla indicated that they were ready to go with a convoy process back in 2017. Now we see in 2021, folks of Daimler have chosen to implement exactly the kind of system that Tesla is talking about. Another implementation that Daimler is actually doing in Europe, but not in the United States, is it looks like they actually have approval to run sort of roof-level cameras instead of doing side mirrors. So, as you may recall, one of the main reasons why Elon wanted to get rid of side mirrors is it adds drag, makes the truck less aerodynamic. And so while Tesla has eliminated the cameras, which is a big surprise, because in theory they could run both cameras and side mirrors. That way customers down the road wouldn't have to retrofit their vehicles. It looks like for now, the cameras associated with the convoy mode that Elon discussed are not being implemented because we're not seeing them on any of the trucks that are being used by the Pepsi or Frito-Lay side of Pepsi. And we're not seeing any of these implementations when it also comes to the when it also comes to the non Pepsi trucks. We aren't seeing any cameras there as well. I guess I find this strange because why not go ahead and put them on, and then you could take them off later versus having to bring vehicles in and increase the downtime for that vehicle while you're making this switch. So one therefore would expect, based on Daimler being approved to use these on their trucks in Europe, that once Tesla goes to Europe, we'll start to see implementation of the Semi there with cameras and able to sort of engage in this process. So I think that the convoy concept is really big because, as you heard from what Elon pointed out, if you're able to run 3 trucks in a row, your costs relative to one driver start to approach competitiveness with rail. And that kind of cost reduction is actually a huge deal. So we look forward to determining what's going to happen with this implementation for Tesla going forward. But I think it's quite obvious that it's actually a great idea. And the fact that Daimler implemented it before Tesla did, because they had trucks already running on the road, is interesting. As you also may recall, Elon is pointing out that the Tesla Semi is able to not only beat the diesel trucks, but also add to that beating as they go into this convoy mode. And so obviously with diesel running these convoys under the Daimler brand, we would expect that, they're definitely making an effort to be competitive, which I think is just smart business to stay in the hunt when it comes to Tesla. Now, the goal of this show was really to sort of egg Tesla on into showing us animations. We've already seen the animations numerous times of what's going on with the whole tethering or convoy process with Tesla. But as you can see, the folks at Daimler have chosen to do it with 3 drivers, not allowing the trucks to operate by themselves currently. Even though this is a 2021, it's a year and a half old video, we would expect that they'd step forward at this point to the point where they can, in fact, drop down to 1 driver for 3 vehicles. So I think it's a huge deal to make an inquiry of this. It's a huge deal to note that other competitors like Daimler are making efforts to create this solution, and therefore it validates Tesla's thinking, and it's a mandate from the marketplace that it's actually a really good idea that's worth consideration. Will Tesla be a customer in the tethering business? I should say, will Pepsi be a customer in the tethering business? The issue that's coming up is there's a lot of trucks to be built for all of Tesla's customers. How those trucks are configured at the beginning may not be the middle and the end of what they choose to do, particularly once they've decided on what routes they're going to use these vehicles on. So for now, from what we can deduce, there's no tethering or convoy mode being used by Tesla. And I think getting vehicles out there and everything else working prior to jumping into this is probably a good idea. But we'd love to see more of a step towards this kind of an implementation. So this ends our discussion of what's happening with Convoys and Tesla/Pepsi. As usual, we'd like to remind you 25 leg lifts a day to strengthen quad muscles, reducing chances of knee issues and operations. And we also wanted to encourage you to not go to bed within 2 hours of eating. Best 4 hours, let the food digest. At any rate, this is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks once again for joining us. Tschüss. German, au revoir. French, lahitaro. Hebrew, hoda hafez farsi. Zdravstvuyte, Russian, ni hao ma. Chinese, and in Jamaica we say enough respect, walk good man. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, and bye for now.